So if you've been with me on this journey through the Arban duets, you may be getting a little bit impatient. So let's skip ahead a little bit. You can go back and take a look at them anytime you like, obviously. But I'm looking for some now that are going to give us some material to work on that has to do with, again, the musical ingredients. So today I'd like to look at number 22, another composition by André Gretry, the Belgian-born but French national, who was an opera composer. And this one is called Richard of the Lion Heart. I have no idea whether this came from an opera. If it did, I'm sure the plot is pretty standard, shall we say. But again, we're trying to look at this music. We don't know the story connected to the music, so we're thinking of it more as pure music. It's just sound that represents something. So I'm going to play through and then go back and discuss a little bit some of the ingredients. So let's see. Maybe I haven't looked at this. So I'm going to look at the second part now. Start with the second part. Now, for a lot of this, unlike some of the duets that we did previously, things are in rhythmic unison, and that makes it a little bit easier in some ways. So it's pretty straightforward. Here we go. Okay, kind of interesting. Okay, what's the information? Andante. Could be a little slower, I suppose. Feels pretty good to me. Con giusto, with gusto, energy. So I hope you hear some of that. Now, there's a couple things I want to look at here. At the beginning, there are no articulation markings except for one slur. So if I play the first part, so we need to make a musical decision about how clearly we're going to pronounce those notes. And the more clearly we tend to pronounce them, the more we take the listener's ear away from hearing the direction of the line. Now, how important is the line? Da, 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 da. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So I think this has a sense of bounce to it. Now, we get a little farther into the piece, there's a section that says delicatamente. I like cognates, words that sound similar in different languages. So I think that's pretty easy to translate. Delicate, very delicate. What does that mean? Not heavy, light, crisp. So that I have to try it. What can I get it to sound like? I'm not sure I like the second version, but I'm gonna try something and see if this makes sense. I don't think I pronounced it quite that way when I played the second trumpet part. That doesn't okay because that's okay because I'm not going to put them together. You're playing separately, but these are things to listen for. So when you play with the first trumpet part, unlike a real world situation, you're having to listen to the second part and say, well, how am I going to adapt myself to that? And which is great practice. We should all be doing that. Because it keeps you alive, keeps you in the moment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this with gusto and delicatamente, where it says to do so. And something I also should mention, where it says delicatamente, you have on the next line, there's exactly the same style, the same markings, the same marcato indication. And so I would interpret that, even though you don't have the word written underneath, as being the same. So I hope you get the idea. I'm constantly making decisions about how to portray the music. And it's totally flexible. You can do whatever you want. But I hope that we will exercise good taste. And if not, go outside of good taste in order to find out what's appropriate, what seems to be the most effective, Feel free to explore these things. It's not like what I'm telling you to do is the right way to do it. It's just my idea today, okay? Okay, so I'm going to play the first trumpet part for you. Okay, one other little thing, and this will probably come up more in some particular compositions than it will in others. You want to always listen for the releases. So when I get to the end of, let's see, this is the beginning of the second line. I need to be very conscious, very intentional. Now, how do I release? I could release very abruptly. I could even do something which I don't think would be appropriate. It would be kind of making fun of the music, which is to cut it off abruptly with the tongue. But the quality of the release and the placement of the release in time, that has a very powerful effect on the music. So if I did... Now that's a very abrupt, just cutting it off with the tongue like that, and it has a sound, very characteristic sound that goes along with it. So you see what you're trying to develop here with these simple little tunes is a whole repertoire of ways of pronouncing things, ways that contain meaning of some kind. So it might be, to me, it's a little humorous to hear that tongue cut off. So it's fun to practice to do those kinds of things. It doesn't always have to be right. Sometimes it can be just, I wonder if I can make that sound. And I work with a lot of jazz players, improvisational artists, and they're constantly looking for new and different sounds that they can make that convey the whole spectrum of human experience. All kinds of emotion, all kinds of feelings are associated with it. That's great. That's what artists do. So let's not get stuck in a box with this stuff and think that it's right or wrong. We need to really, really experiment. Okay, I hope you found that helpful and that you're going to enjoy playing along with it. I still have to try playing along with these myself. And if they don't work very well, then I guess it's back to the drawing board. But I hope they do. Okay, I will see you in the next installment. Bye-bye.